Did Florida Gators head coach Billy Napier save his job by beating the number 9 ranked Texas Longhorns?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Victory Monday. The first Monday in over a month where we've got to say, hey, it's a Victory Monday. I love it. I am Brandon Olsen, lifelong Florida Gators fan. Find all my written work about the Gators with swampsignal.substack.com. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. And the Florida Gators upset the number 9 ranked Texas Longhorns in Gainesville this past Saturday, 29-21, in a game that felt much, I guess, more dominant for Florida than it really was, or than the score indicates. Florida, and I don't mean dominant as I know you just beat the crap out of them. I do mean dominant in the sense of Florida felt like they were in control from the start of that game. That first opening drive, they set the tone, they established the tone. And then it kind of felt like they just kept it going, right? It kind of felt like Florida was just moving Texas for a lot, pretty much the whole first half. It felt like Florida was just moving Texas, right? All of that being said, with Florida winning this game against number 9 ranked Texas, I hope it wasn't enough for Billy Napier to save his job. I said before this game, even if they lost, I don't think he was going to be getting fired this weekend or yesterday or today. I don't think that was going to happen, even if they lost the game. I hope winning the game wasn't enough to keep his job, right? And that's not me. I'm not doing the thing where I think a lot of fans are just like, oh, fire him, get rid of him. He's a bum. He's this, he's that. I think he's just not a championship winning coach. Probably not even a high level SEC coach. And for me, that's enough to say he should be fired. That's really it. I don't need to do the crazy disrespectful thing. I don't need to be hyperbolic about anything. I will say this: you need more than one game to prove you belong, right? And we went through this last year. I don't see a way in which Billy Napier should be retained. We've been through the same thing last year, where the first half of the season or the first quarter of the season, Florida went 2-2. This time it was 1-3, but Florida went 2-2 to start the year last year. Came out of the bye week. Good win against UCF. Overtime loss against Tennessee at Tennessee. Good win, dominant win against Kentucky. And that still, for me, wasn't nearly enough. And then you had the end of the season, of course, where you beat LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Then now this year so far, you started the year 1-3. With your only win coming against Long Island. This is the first FBS team that you beat this year is Texas. That should not nearly be enough. Because, you can look at the losses and say, oh, you fell asleep against USF, lost that one. Then you lost to number 3 LSU, number 4 Miami. Those are respectable losses because you lost those against great teams, right? Top 5 teams. One win against Texas is not nearly enough to justify keeping him. Look, I firmly believe, and I've said this for a while now, I firmly believe he should be fired. I think a lot of other people firmly believe he should be fired. And I think that a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it's a matter of when, not if. I'm not comfortable saying that. I said this a couple weeks ago with Brian Smith, where I was like, look, I'm not willing to say it's 100% guarantee he's getting fired. Because I thought that was the case last year, and it wasn't. I'm not giving them I'm not accepting that, oh yeah, that might actually happen. I'm going to go through this, and it's why I haven't given a list when people ask about a list. It's why I haven't talked about a coaching search. Because I'm not fully confident he's going to get fired. I hope the Texas game, because again, I know we disagree with him staying. We've established that. the athletic director, Scott Strickland, is at least giving Billy the chance to keep his job, right? Which the fact that he hasn't been fired yet tells me they're still giving him an opportunity to earn another year at Florida. This win should not be enough to do that, is my point. Like, I'm not arguing about whether that's a good decision or a bad decision. I think it's a bad decision. That's it. I don't need to elaborate on that. Like I've said, I think you're not a championship winning coach. That's all I need to say, that you should be fired at Florida. But I do believe that there's the realistic possibility that, hey, if they turn this thing around again, might keep his job. This game should not be that. This game should not be that indicator that you beat a top 10 ranked team that wasn't that great at home, when you've got a road game coming up against Texas A&M, who could be top 5. You've got Georgia in a few weeks. You've got Ole Miss on the road. You've got Tennessee in the swamp. You've got Florida State in the swamp. Like, this is not a game in which you go, okay, well, they did it. That's good enough. That's all I need to see. Billy Napier's still under 500 in year 4 at the University of Florida. Texas was never as good as they were advertised. We spoke about that all week last week. Like I said, yeah, I'm probably going to pick Texas to win, but the odds were like, oh yeah, 75% chance Texas wins, 25% chance Florida wins. I was like, no, that should be like 60-40. Like, it should have been much closer than that. It was 2 offenses that haven't done anything against 2 great defenses. That's it. And if Florida does turn things around fully, why is it that now 2 years in a row it takes you a month to figure out how to play good football? It's unacceptable, right? As far as the 2 most critical moments in which Billy Napier was criticized on Saturday against Texas were the timeouts, right? One was a bad timeout call. It was after second down in the first half with about 45 seconds left. Billy lets the clock run down to 38 seconds left. Waiting to call timeout on that second down was a horrible decision, right? If you call the timeout the moment the play ends, and it's about 45 seconds, if you call it then even if Texas runs the ball or gets sacked, which happened, you force a 4th down. So you force Texas either punting and you get a chance for a return. Maybe Texas goes, hey, we're going to go for this because it's 4th down. The quarter's going to end. The half's going to end. So we're going to end this. So we'll go for this on 4th down, maybe get a safety, pick 6, defensive score somehow. But instead, you waited until there were 38 seconds left, which said if you call timeout, if they run the ball, this half's over because that was your last timeout. Or if they get sacked, this half's over. They got sacked. So you didn't give your team an opportunity to return a punt. That was a bad timeout call. The other one was the timeout call with 1 minute and 6 seconds left. Crucial play. Austin Barber's helmet pops off. Clock stops when the helmet pops off. Okay? Clock is stopped. There's at most a 10-second runoff that Texas would need to accept. Texas was obviously not going to accept that 10-second runoff. So the running clock stopped. There was going to be no 10-second runoff. The benefit of the timeout, there were 2 of them. One benefit, timeout allows Austin Barber to come back on the field, because if you don't call timeout, he needs to sit out a play, which we could talk about that, and we'll talk about that now. If Austin Barber does come off the field, that leaves the backup left tackle, who, assuming he's Fletcher Westphal right now, to come in on a very crucial down. And Fletcher Westphal has not played this season. He's been out for the first month of the season. So Fletcher Westphal, who hasn't played, would have come in on maybe the most important offensive play of the game. Okay? You want to avoid that. And if it's not Fletcher was unavailable, then it's whoever left tackle 3 is. And you don't want that on the most crucial play of the game, right? So calling timeout to keep Austin Barber in was the decision. That was the first benefit. The second benefit was to get the right play call in, make sure you don't have a stupid procedural penalty. You probably should have gone for a hard count to see if you can get Texas to jump off sides, give you a free first down, and then you just kneel it and end the game. Didn't do that, but that, like, I'm fine with the timeout. Okay, like I've said before, and like I said, what was it, on Saturday night? Like I said, Saturday night was, I disagree with calling a timeout there, But the logic still tracks. And I know that there were a bunch of people in the comments, like the logic doesn't track. You saved them 40 seconds. No, you didn't. You saved them 0 seconds. The timeout had no impact on the amount of time left in the game. I would have saved the timeout because if you don't get that, because you were going to run the ball no matter what to keep the clock moving into 4th down. So you were going to run the ball no matter what. They knew you were going to run the ball no matter what. The odds of you converting that weren't super high. I would have kept the timeout and saved it in case Texas scored, went for 2, and tied it. We would have 3 timeouts to strike back before the end of regulation. So I'm fine with the timeout. I wouldn't have done it myself, like I've said. I'm fine with the timeout. I hate the toss play call there. But that's about it. Like if you're criticizing it because of the time remaining and you're criticizing it because of the runoff and you're criticizing it because of that stuff, it's like you're just wrong. And that's okay. But maybe if you don't know the rule, don't harshly criticize the decision made because of the rule. Simple as that. There are a billion things to call Billy out about. There's a very long list of things to call him out about. You really weaken your case and you really weaken your argument when you start calling him out for things that aren't wrong. And yesterday I had someone tweet like, this is like boy who cries wolf because he's wrong so often. This isn't boy who cries wolf because boy who cries wolf is boy is telling you about what he's seeing and you have no way of validating it unless you see it yourself. This is boy is wrong a lot, but you have the information to know if he's right or wrong. It's not the same thing. It's really not. There's a billion things to criticize him about. The timeout is not one of them. We are going to talk about this Florida Gators offense, which found a bit of a rhythm finally when we get back with Locked On Gators. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. That's ONEPELOTON.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free every single podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators offense finally figured things out, right? Like, let me put it this way for you. Florida scored 55 against Long Island, right? Then, over the next 3-game losing streak against USF, LSU, and Miami, Florida scored a combined what? It was 26 with USF and a combined 33 points. They scored 29 against Texas. Hell of a showing offensively. Like that was a great showing. DJ Lagway looked more comfortable than he has the entire season, like including the Long Island game. DJ Lagway looked more comfortable against Texas than he did in the entire season prior to that. He still clearly wasn't fully healthy. He was still limping around, and I know that a lot of people went, oh, he's clearly limping, take him out. Like, I don't think you needed to. He wasn't doing anything to really impede the success of the team. He was throwing more confident than we've seen him throw. He had the one pick was really bad, but I will say 2 things about it. One, I'm fine with the play call. Everybody thought you were going to run the ball there to keep the clock moving and just get out of this game with a win. I'm fine with the play call. If it scored a touchdown, everybody would have been talking about how cool of a play call it was and how badass of a play call it was, and that would have been the conversation. But because DJ Lagway's arm got hit, which is the second thing, DJ Lagway's arm got hit as he was throwing. The ball fluttered in the air and got picked. Texas got put in a good spot there. Like, yeah, that sucked. I'm not saying that there was nothing wrong with it, but I am saying that DJ Lagway, for the most part, played well. He really did. He didn't make many boneheaded mistakes. He had that pick. And honestly, that pick wasn't even his worst decision. His worst decision was the throw in triple coverage. I forgot who he threw it to on the play, but he threw a receiver into triple coverage, and that was just a bad decision there. But DJ Lagway, like, he played well. He got pressured 6 times. That's it. He's very, very well protected. He dropped back 28 times, threw the ball 28 times. And he's no sacks, no scrambles. Everything was just DJ dropping back, making the throw. That's it. Like that's a hell of a spot to be in, right? None of that were two were throwaways, but none of them were, oh, he's going to get crushed, and none of them were, oh, he's getting killed. Like, you contained a very good Texas pass rush. So DJ Lagway looked good. The offensive line cleared up, I want to say, their communication issues for the most part, at least. Maybe not fully, but for the most part, cleaned up a lot of their protection issues, a lot of their communication issues there. Dallas Wilson made his college football debut, and oh my goodness, was 6 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, just dog, absolute dog there. Hell of a performance from Dallas. Hell of a debut from Dallas. I have no idea how he stayed in bounds on his long touchdown, but I'm here for it. Outside of that, there wasn't really much from the receivers except for one big play to Vernell Brown III, 60-yard catch. And then J. Michael Sturdivant had 2 pretty solid, good catches, considered explosive plays. So solid there. We saw less tight end involvement than ever before or than this whole season. They combined for 3 catches. Hayden had 2 catches for 16 yards and a fumble. Tony Livingston had 1 catch for 9 yards and went out of bounds when he probably shouldn't have. But you got way more dynamic offensively. The tight ends did play a ton. Like, it's weird. I don't see the timeline complaining about 12 personnel. I don't see the timeline complaining about 12 personnel when Florida spent a good bit of time in 12 personnel. I think Hayden played every snap, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe took 1 off. Tony Livingston played almost half the snaps. But we saw a lot of 11, a lot of 12, as expected. Offense worked, right? Like, the offense worked, especially on the first drive. You just walked it. They walked Texas down. And I do think it was funny that everybody was hyping up Texas's run defense when it's just like, and I said this on Saturday night after the game, and I said this leading up to the game, that I'm not sold it on how dominant Texas is, because like, they played Ohio State week 1. Defense played well. Offense played awful. Ohio State's offense also hasn't been great to start the year, or also wasn't great to start the year. So congratulations, defense played well against another offense that was underperforming. Texas run defense, it was like, oh yeah, they're allowing 60 rushing yards per game. Like, they're playing nobodies. They better. There's no other. They better average a lot, or they better average a great run defense, because you played nobodies. Congratulations on beating the crap out of Sam Houston State, which, by the way, also when we talk about rushing yards per game allowed, a lot of that also includes pass rush. So if you're sacking Sam Houston State, if you're sacking San Jose State, those help your rushing yards numbers. They don't actually mean that you're very good at defending the rush. And I think Florida exposed that a little bit. For a lot of the game, Florida, like especially the first half, Florida just came out and punched them in the mouth repeatedly, and it worked. Jaden Bald, pick up chunk yardage, tough yardage. Hell of a game from him and Duke Clark, really. Like, I feel like Duke Clark, 9 carries. I was like 40 yards. Nothing amazing. But for a true freshman, seeing his first significant snaps in a major game against a number 9 defense, he did a good job of taking what was there, picking up whatever was available, and just fighting forward for more yardage, right? He had 38 total yards, 26 of them came after contact. Like, he was fighting for it. And look, I will say part of the reason that he had to get so much after contact was because he made a couple bad reads and got contacted by a defense, but great plays. Vernell Brown III had 1 carry for 14 yards on jet power read. It was a great play, great call on the opening drive. Love to see it. I hope they go back to it more often. I think jet power read's just a hell of a play. It's really tough to defend. And so I'd like to see that. And also you could build off it, right? Like, fake the read part of it, fake the jet read part of it, have a wheel route from that same guy coming up, and you could just make a big play if it's there. Offense figured some things out. They still have a lot of work to do, by the way. Like the offense figured some things out, but still have work to do. Special teams wise, you had what? By the way, I did not think that this was a great punting game by Tommy Doman. Wasn't awful, but wasn't great. He had 5 punts for 195 yards, 39 per. with a long of 51, which, yeah, the other ones kind of brought that down. One got downed. That was good. But yeah, this wasn't an awesome game for him. He had great hang time because there were some that just went like straight up. But yeah, he had some punts that weren't the best. Trey Smack kicked two field goals, I think it was, settled for those because they weren't deep field goals. They were, I think both of them were red zone field goals as well, or maybe just outside the red zone. Offense has things to clean up. Penalties were down overall. Florida played cleaner football and won, right? And go back to the Friday episode of Locked On Gators. And what did I say? You need to run the ball effectively, which they did. Again, it wasn't about picking up big yards all the time. It was about giving yourself a chance on third down, which they did. They needed to play cleaner football, and they did. They played cleaner football than Texas did. That's what decided the game. That's how Florida won. That's how Florida got a win against the number 9 team in the country. Just like that. Their defense played incredible, right? Florida's defense played lights out. We'll talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. This episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. And there are certain businesses that make the neighborhood, right? These are the places that become an extension of home, basically, whether it's a sports bar dedicated to your team's favorite fan base, wherever you are, the spot with the best wings in town on game day, which again, those should be the same spot, if we're being honest, right? Or that beloved local chain that's been a root in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. It's incredible to see. You love watching, and like I always talk about, the bodega that I grew up across the street from. Like when I was a little kid, I used to go and they'd be like, oh, and then I got bigger and they're like, oh my God, you're so grown now. I'm like, that's how time works. It's crazy. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. And the NFL season is here, Jags fans. I know you're happy about that. Dolphins fans, not so much. FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You want to bet on Brian Thomas Jr. finally waking up and playing receiver again? You could do that. He's down to break that slump at some point, right? Hopefully for you guys. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, representing the podcast and on YouTube. And we're going to talk about this Florida Gators defense against the Texas Longhorns. And I mean, holy hell. First off, Ron Roberts, which I know plenty of people feel plenty of ways about him for plenty of reasons. Fully understand, right? We're there. Ron Roberts put out his best performance as Florida's defensive coordinator, right? Easily, just easily, completely boxed Texas for the overwhelming majority of the game. I get it. The score was 21-29. That last drive where Texas scored a touchdown was great for them. A lot of it was plays kind of like breaking down and then making stuff happen, and I totally get it. But man, that was one hell of a masterclass defensive game plan against Texas. Trying, like, the one area where they got beat kind of often was just Arch Manning using his legs at certain points. He was Texas' leading rusher. When you eliminate sacks, he had 74 rushing yards. Texas had 89 total. So on all other carries combined, Texas had 15 rushing yards. Again, that's not including the sacks that Arch Manning did take, which brought his rushing numbers down. I'm talking about the PFF numbers where it's just your rushing, because I don't know. I feel like sacks shouldn't count against rushing yards, and that's dumb. But hey, whatever, helps inflate Florida stats the same way Texas stats are inflated, right? So I'm cool with it. But this was just hell for Arch Manning. That's it. Like they just had him boxed the entire time. And yeah, Ron Roberts just put out an insane defensive performance. He was throwing a ton of very exotic looks at Arch Manning, very exotic looks at this offensive line, and just boxed him, really. That's the only way I can put it, is that Ron Roberts beat the hell out of Arch Manning. I said it on Saturday night after the game. I was like, this was borderline child abuse. Like, he was just beating the crap out of him. It was wild. Really, like, oh my goodness. 35 pressures for Florida's defense. 35. For reference, Florida's defense had 34 pressures on the entire season going into the year. So Florida had more pressures in this game against Texas than they had in the entire season combined before that. That's ridiculous. You look at the pressure numbers. Brian Taylor Jr. had 6. Tariq Sapp had 5. Miles Graham, Mekhi Boyroe, Jaden Robinson, and Cameron James all had 3. Jeremiah McLeod, Jaden Woods, Bryce Thornton, Sharif Denson, George Gumbs Jr. all had 2. Devin Moore had 1 and a sack, and Michael Caraway Jr. had 1 and a sack. Ridiculous. No other way to put it. They just balled. It was ridiculous to see. Beat the crap out of them completely. 35 pressures. By the way, Arch Manning dropped back, I think, 40 times. That doesn't mean that they pressured him on 35 of those 40 dropbacks. He's credited with being pressured on 25 dropbacks. The reason that Florida has more pressures than he has times pressured is because Florida had plays where multiple guys got pressures. Florida had, I think, 3 plays where it was half sack each. And so that alone means on that play, at the absolute minimum, 2 guys got pressure on the play. That's where Florida was at. What was also very impressive for Florida was, like, it can't be overstated how awesome it was to see everyone on the defensive front step up. I think that's how I'll phrase it. Like, Brian Taylor Jr., career game, 6 pressures. He only rushed the passer 17 times. He got pressure on more than a third of his pass rush opportunities. Wild. Tariq Sapp looked like the Tariq Sapp of 2024, and you can tell from the moment he stepped onto the field. Because the moment Tariq Sapp stepped onto the field, he made the stop on first down for Florida's defense against Texas. Tariq Sapp made the first stop, and he came up hooting and hollering and yelling and screaming, and everybody knew at that moment Tariq Sapp was feeling it today. That was the first time this year we've seen Tariq Sapp play like Tariq Sapp of 2024. I've been pretty critical of Sapp throughout his entire college career so far. That, like, every year there's a ton of hype, and I feel like we didn't really see it up until 2024. The LSU game, strong performance. Outside of that, that was it. And even the LSU game, he didn't look like the Tariq Sapp of 2024. Texas game, he looked like the Tariq Sapp of 2024. He looked like the guy where you're like, all right, that's going to be a Sunday player for a long time. Probably never going to be a double-digit sack guy. Probably never going to be the team's number 1 pass rusher. But he's going to be in the NFL for a long time, and he's going to be starting in the NFL for a long time. That was the Tariq Sapp that we saw against Texas. Just wreaking havoc and dominating. Jaden Woods didn't have much progression, didn't have much production, but his reps looked good, right? Like, his bend is wild for someone as built as he is. He had that one play where I think he is like a spine buster against the Texas, I think it was tight end, where they ran a tight end mid screen and he just came up and lit it up. It was one of those plays where you're dropping an edge rusher into coverage. He came up and made that play. Hell of a play. Sharif Denson only rushed the passer 6 times. Like, he only blitzed 6 times, and I'm amazed by that because it felt like a lot more. Like, it felt like every time I was looking up, Sharif Denson was running into the backfield. And maybe that's because he was doing it like he was being used on run blitzes a lot. Maybe that's what it was, but it felt like every play Sharif Denson was coming downhill for it instead of playing in coverage a ton. So Jaden Woods is someone that just, he's going to be a beast. Like, again, with how built he is, rock solid, and his bend is wild for someone that's that young. He looks really good. This felt like a 2024 game where pressure from the interior helped set up everything for the rest of the defense. Like, Brian Taylor Jr., 6 pressures from the interior. That's where he was lining up. He was lining up almost exclusively on the inside. Tariq Sapp was playing on the edge. Mekhi Boyroe had 3 pressures and looked, that might have been his best game that we've ever seen from him. He had 3 pressures. Jaden Robinson had 3 pressures as well. He was coming from off ball. Cam James played a little bit on the interior, so did Jeremiah McLeod. It was just a great performance from Florida. Like there's no other way to put it. They just played great. The secondary had their lapses that were brutal, but ultimately, one, Texas didn't make you pay enough. And two, your pass rush was able to save you a few times. There was the one touchdown over the middle of the field deep that I think it was Bryce Thornton's fault. There was the one touchdown to the flat that was Jordan Castell's fault. Cormani McLean got beat a few times. Like that was easily the worst game we've seen from him. But yeah, outside, I mean, Devin Moore had a pick and a sack. Like that was just a great play. Jordan Castell had the pick on the play where he was just, I don't even think he knew that the ball was going to him, but it went right to him. But it was just, one of those games where you go, okay, like that was Jaden Robinson almost had a sack or almost had a pick too. Like it was great. It was a hell of a performance. This was the defense playing legit complimentary football. Love to see it. If they can keep giving you that and the offense can keep giving you what they gave you, which again wasn't spectacular, but it was way better than we've seen. If the offense can keep giving you that and the defense can keep giving you what they gave you, you can talk about having a turnaround for the rest of the season. You can talk about it. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow to talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work about the Florida Gators on swampsignal.substack.com. There's free articles. There are premium articles with all 22, but there's free articles there, so you can go there. And I will see you all next time.